Did you know that 65% of human communication happens through body language and tone, not words? That means when you're writing dialogue, you're only scratching the surface if you focus on what's being said. The real magic lies in how it's said, and even what's left unsaid. In this guide, we're going to dive into the 6 levels of dialogue every writer needs to master. These aren't just about stringing words together. They're about crafting conversations that feel real, intense, and unforgettable. You'll learn how silence can be more powerful than speech, how to make every character's voice unique, and why timing can make or break a scene. The best dialogue isn't just about talking. It's about making the audience feel the words. Ready to unlock the secrets of unforgettable conversations? Let's get started. Chapter 1. The Silent Echo, Mastering Unspoken Dialogue. A powerful dialogue doesn't always come from words. In fact, silence speaks louder than anything you can say. Think about the last time someone didn't say anything but their expression told you everything. That's the magic of unspoken dialogue. Show, don't tell, isn't just for describing settings, it's crucial for building tension. When characters don't speak, they often communicate more. Consider how body language or a raised eyebrow can convey as much as a full conversation. This is what makes a scene feel alive and real. Take the classic example from The Godfather. In the famous scene where Michael Corleone confronts Sollozzo and the police officer, neither character says much. Yet, the silence between their exchanges is filled with power. The audience feels the weight of what's about to happen without a word spoken. Silence allows space for the viewer to connect the dots. And sometimes, less is more. As a writer, think about moments where words are unnecessary. A tense stare or an awkward silence can heighten emotion, build suspense, or even create humor. According to research by the University of California, 93% of communication is nonverbal. Imagine how much more you can do with silence. The goal is to use these pauses intentionally. If characters are avoiding a topic, let that hesitation be felt through body language, glances, or actions. Remember, silence is often the loudest statement. By mastering the silent echo, you add layers to your dialogue that go beyond just words. Chapter 2. The Rhythm of Conflict. Crafting tense conversations. Dialogue doesn't just tell a story, it propels it. A good conversation between characters is like a dance, where the rhythm of tension is key. Every great dialogue exchange follows a push-pull pattern. Characters challenge each other, hesitate, retreat, and then come back stronger. In writing, this is called the rhythm of conflict. Take any memorable argument in cinema. Think of the heated exchange between Jack Nicholson and Tom Cruise in A Few Good Men. Their back and forth feels natural yet filled with tension. Why? Because there's a rhythm. The pauses, the rising volume, the calculated shifts, these give the scene its emotional beat. You don't need constant shouting or conflict to make an impact. Subtle tension, built slowly through dialogue, can do wonders. According to The New Yorker, conflict is the heart of any great story. Conflict in dialogue doesn't always have to be loud, but it must always be present. It could be as simple as a question that goes unanswered or a comment that's taken the wrong way. But there needs to be a friction that keeps the conversation moving forward. As a writer, don't rush to resolve every argument. Let tension linger. Let characters speak over each other, cut off, or misunderstand. This is the secret to crafting tense, engaging exchanges. Conflict doesn't have to mean anger or rage. Sometimes, it's as quiet as two people avoiding the real issue. Remember, dialogue is more than words. It's how characters react to each other and push back when their emotions are tested. Conflict doesn't always need to be big. Often, the smallest disagreements make the loudest impact. Chapter 3. The Subtext Symphony. Saying more with less subtext is the invisible thread that runs beneath every good conversation. It's the true meaning of what's being said, and it often speaks louder than the words themselves. If dialogue is the music, subtext is the rhythm. It's the space between the notes, the unsaid things that make us lean in. Think of The Great Gatsby, where every line of dialogue is filled with unspoken meaning. When Daisy says, "I hope she'll be a fool," that's the best thing a girl can be in this world, a beautiful little fool. The words themselves may seem straightforward. But beneath, there's a complex layer of sadness and disillusionment that only the reader can truly understand. Subtext is your opportunity to add depth to a scene. It allows the audience to read between the lines and connect with your characters in a more intimate way. As a writer, you can give your dialogue layers, creating a richer, more immersive experience. Consider Breaking Bad. Every conversation between Walter White and Jesse Pinkman is laced with hidden agendas, past trauma, and power dynamics. Research from Harvard University suggests that 55% of meaning comes from body language, 38% from tone of voice, and only 7% from words themselves. Subtext uses all these elements to craft a message without ever stating it outright. When you're writing, think about what your character wants versus what they say. A character might say, "I'm fine," but their clenched fist and shaky voice scream otherwise. The beauty of subtext is in its subtlety. You don't need to say everything to convey the message. Often, the unspoken is more powerful. Use your dialogue to hint, suggest, and make the audience work to uncover the truth. If you're loving these tips, make sure to subscribe and stay tuned for the next chapters. Chapter 4, The Voice Print, making every character speak their truth. Every character in your story should sound distinct. If they don't, your dialogue will start to feel flat and monotonous. A character's voice should reflect who they are, where they come from, and what they've been through. Whether it's a sophisticated lawyer or a street-smart teenager, their speech patterns, tone, and vocabulary should tell you more about them than just the words they say. Think of To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. Scout Finch speaks with the innocence of a child, while Atticus Finch has a measured, wise tone. Their words don't just serve the plot, they build character and deepen the reader's understanding. In fact, dialogue can be the best tool for character development. Studies by the University of Chicago show that people subconsciously analyze the way others speak to understand their background and personality. The same rule applies in writing. Your character's speech should reflect their age, education, social status, and emotional state. A character from a small town won't use the same words as a city dweller. And someone who's been through trauma might speak in short, clipped sentences. By giving each character a unique voice print, you make them come alive. Consider The Catcher in the Rye. Holden Caulfield's sarcastic, disaffected tone is a key part of his character. You can hear his frustration in every line. This authenticity in speech makes your characters feel real. Remember, good dialogue isn't just about using different words, it's about using the right words for each character. When you master the voice print, you ensure that your audience can instantly recognize who's speaking, without you even needing to name them. Chapter 5, The Timing Tactician, perfecting pauses and pacing. Dialogue is more than just a rapid exchange of words. It's about knowing when to speed up the conversation and when to let it slow down. Perfect pacing in dialogue can turn a good scene into a great one. Think about the way a joke lands. It's not just the punchline that matters, but the timing that makes it funny. Take the film Pulp Fiction. Quentin Tarantino is a master of pacing. In a scene where two hitmen are having a casual conversation about foot massages, the slow, deliberate pace builds suspense. The conversation seems normal, but the tension mounts, and when the violence eventually erupts, it feels all the more jarring. Pauses in dialogue are crucial, too. A well-timed pause can make a conversation feel more loaded, more meaningful. It's often the silence between characters that tells the audience the most. A character pausing before responding shows hesitation, uncertainty, or a hidden agenda. Research by Stanford University shows that humans naturally pick up on pacing in conversation. We instinctively sense when someone is speaking too fast or too slow. As a writer, you can use this to your advantage. A fast-paced conversation might convey excitement or urgency, while slower dialogue can create tension or reveal inner conflict. The trick to pacing is understanding the rhythm of the scene. Don't rush your dialogue. Let each moment breathe, and then speed things up when the action requires it. Perfect timing doesn't just apply to action scenes, it can turn even the most mundane exchanges into powerful moments. Mastering pacing and timing in dialogue allows you to manipulate your audience's emotions. One perfectly placed pause or change in rhythm can completely shift the mood of a scene. Chapter 6, The Crossroads of Humanity, Making Dialogue Relatable Yet Unique. Great dialogue must be both specific and universal. It should capture the essence of human experience while remaining true to each character's individual circumstances. Your characters might be in a particular situation, but the emotions they're dealing with, fear, love, confusion, pride, are things everyone can relate to. This is The Crossroads of Humanity. Take the dialogue from The Fault in Our Stars by John Green. The characters are dealing with cancer, something many of us don't personally experience. But the emotions they go through, falling in love, facing mortality, longing for meaning, are deeply human experiences we all understand. John Green crafts dialogue that is both specific to the character's situation and universal in its themes. The challenge is to find the balance between the two. A character's dialogue needs to feel grounded in their personal experience, but it should also tap into something larger that connects with the audience. You don't have to write about life or death situations for this to work. Everyday conversations can carry universal weight. According to the New York Times, the best dialogue reflects both the particular and the general. In other words, while characters might be dealing with unique situations, their reactions should still feel familiar. A conversation about a breakup might feel very specific to the character, but the emotions involved, heartache, regret, hope, are things everyone can identify with. As a writer, pay attention to the details. A character from a rural town might describe a problem differently than a city dweller, but both characters are still dealing with fear, joy, or disappointment. The key is making those emotions authentic, regardless of the circumstances. At the end of the day, dialogue that resonates comes from a place of humanity. Your characters are unique, but they should reflect something bigger, something everyone can relate to. By mastering the crossroads of humanity, you make sure that your dialogue speaks to the heart of the human condition, no matter how specific the scenario. By honing your skills in voice, pacing, and the universal truths behind every conversation, you'll elevate your dialogue to something that not only tells a story but also makes it unforgettable. Keep practicing these strategies, and soon your characters will be speaking in a way that feels as real as the people around you. Don't forget to subscribe for more tips on writing techniques that will take your storytelling to the next level.